Look at the Bible. The Bible, like any good book, has an introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion. We start in Genesis 1 through 11. Genesis 1 through 11, we see the introduction to the Bible. God's nature, man's image, sin's distortion. We come over to Genesis chapter 12, and all through the rest of the Old Testament, we see God's redemption story. And in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, this is the interaction that took place between God and Abram. The Lord said to Abram, leave your country, your household, your father's household, and your people, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. That's a promise God gave to Abram over in the beginning of the Old Testament. And from that passage of Scripture right there, we realize that Abraham had been blessed to be a blessing, which required him to leave and to go. And then God shouts that message out over the rest of the Old Testament, across the New Testament, and right up to this very time. We reach the climax of the God's story in the Bible when we now get to the gospel stories, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, summarized in John 3:16, where John says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Well, we've reached the climax of the story in Jesus' life, his death, his resurrection, and God sending his Son to come and save us and then raise us up with him. And with that then, the rest of the New Testament, the falling action is carrying that out, what had happened in the climax with Jesus. And so we get to Acts chapter 1, verse 8, at the very beginning of the falling action, and here's what we read. You'll receive power when the Holy Spirit's come upon you, and you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. We follow that all the way through to the conclusion, and then in Revelation chapter 7, verse 9, we find John saying these words, I looked up, and after that I looked up, and I saw before me a great multitude from every people and tongue and tribe and nation, all standing there before the throne and in front of the Lamb. And so when we look through the whole of the Scripture, we step back and kind of look at it. Here's what God's shouting out to us. He's saying, you have been blessed. You have been blessed with Jesus. You have been blessed with the Spirit to live in you. You've been blessed with the life and death and resurrection of Jesus. You have been blessed with my kingdom. You have been blessed with my glory inside of you. Now, go and be a blessing to others.